The Scythian kingdom was crumbling. A once thriving nomadic confederation had succumbed to the onslaught of the Sarmatian tribes. The Pontic Steppe, once dominated by the Scythians for almost 400 years, had then changed hands. Goths, Bulgarians, Huns, Avars, Cumans, Crimean Tatars, and many other tribes would leave their marks on the steppe. However, starting from 500 years ago, a new social group emerged. The Cossacks, a mix of runaway Slavic peasants, escaped serfs, and Turkic tribes standing at the edge of a boundless sea of rolling grasses, stretching from the shadows of the Carpathian Mountains all the way to the distant Urals. This is the Pontic-Caspian Steppe, an endless horizon where sky and earth meld, with spring wildflowers transforming it into a sea of color. Despite its deceptive beauty, the steppe is an unforgiving place. Low rainfall makes large-scale farming difficult with the tools of the time. However, the greatest danger of the steppe was not its climate. It was the ceaseless struggle for survival and dominance among its inhabitants. The steppe's vastness, devoid of natural barriers, made it an open invitation to invaders. Competition among the nomadic tribes was fierce, as the resources on the steppe were limited, and survival often depended on a tribe's ability to outmaneuver or conquer its rivals. The Pontic Steppe became a stage for successive waves of conquest and migration. Its inhabitants changed hands multiple times, with each new group bringing its culture and way of life to the region. The dangers of the steppe intensified during the time of the Ottoman Empire. Groups of Tatar raiders would raid the Slav people and took them to the slave market in the Ottoman territories. Thousands of Slavs' families were separated from each other. Over time, the coastal area north of the Black Sea would be so devastated and severely depopulated that the region began to be known as the Wildfields. In the inland area, however, a group of the so-called frontier people emerged. Hardened by the centuries of hostile raids and general harshness of steppe life, this new group of people formed a tight-knit society against external threats. They were semi-militarized, highly mobile, and adaptable. They originally comprised individuals from diverse ethnic backgrounds, including Slavic people, Tatars, Turks, and even Mongols, particularly in its early days. This frontier, though fraught with danger, offered ample rewards, abundant hunting grounds, opportunities for daring raids, and most importantly, the promise of freedom. Here, the bonds of feudal and familial obligations in settled lands were cast off. The steppe called to those who yearned for unshackled lives, its vastness a sanctuary for those who would risk everything for liberty. Over time, this fluid community began to coalesce around a Slavic and Orthodox Christian identity due to the influx of the escaped Slavic peasants and serfs, allured by the freedom that the Pontic Steppe offered them. Neighboring powers such as Muscovy and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth began referring to this group as the Cossacks, a term of Turkic origin meaning free people. They were highly organized, disciplined, and attuned well to the geography and climate of the grassland, making them the undisputable master of the Pontic Steppe. The tide had now started to turn as we witnessed the rise of the Cossack raids into the Tatars as well as Ottoman territories. Some of the Cossacks even started to venture into the previously devastated wildfields and used the sea routes in the Black Sea to raid Ottoman ships and galleys using their unique boats called chaikas. Unlike the previous nomadic inhabitants who were rootless in terms of land, the Cossacks developed proprietary claims over substantial areas of territory that included modern-day Ukraine and the Caucasus. The Cossacks were considered to be semi-nomadic in the sense that they had permanent settlements and practiced limited agriculture, but still distinguished themselves from ordinary peasants by adopting a highly mobile lifestyle that was based on raiding, trading, subsistence agriculture, and hunting. Combat-wise, Cossacks retained many elements from the nomadic tribes, such as swift raids against the enemy with the use of light cavalry and boats. They were also quick to adopt firearms on horseback, a practice that was especially common among the Don Cossacks. And their pioneering use of artillery in the steppe played a crucial factor in their subsequent success against the Turks and Tatars. Besides the Zaporozhian Cossacks, who lived primarily in Ukraine, there were Don Cossacks as well as others that lived in Russian parts of the Pontic Steppe. Zaporozhian Cossacks were renowned for their naval prowess, especially in raiding Ottoman Black Sea territories with light, fast Chaika boats. Whereas the Don Cossacks specialized in cavalry-based warfare, excelling in open-field battles and reconnaissance. In most history books, the Cossack was often seen as just another aspect of Russian or Ukrainian societies. The Cossacks were, of course, speaking mainly Slavic language and believed in Orthodox religion. However, there are plenty of areas where the semi-nomadic Cossacks differ significantly from their sedentary counterparts. Much like how the Khitan people adopted Chinese writing and Confucianism while still maintaining their nomadic lifestyle. It's a familiar pattern that we often saw among the nomads' sedentary civilization relationship, where the nomads took the forms and appearance of the sedentary culture, but the core content of the nomadic society remained unchanged. For one thing, the Cossack was uncompromisingly egalitarian. There are anecdotes that when Russians intended to divide their rewards to the Cossacks according to ranks, the Cossacks famously rebuked, saying that they should all receive equal payments regardless of social status. The Cossacks were remarkable for their crude democratic traditions. They governed themselves through general meetings called Krug in Russian or Rada in Ukrainian, which were held multiple times a year. At these gatherings, all members of the Cossack community could participate. Decisions on leadership, military campaigns, and internal policies were made collectively, with leaders, such as the hetman or ataman, chosen by popular vote. These leaders served as both military commanders and administrative heads, but were always subject to the will of the assembly. Aside from that, women in Cossack communities enjoyed significant rights and freedoms. In contrast to the ordinary Slavic peasants of the time, the women could own property independently and had the legal authority to decide how to manage or distribute it, including passing it on or withholding it from their heirs. Here, I have to stress that the Cossacks' practical approach to gender roles, their egalitarian society, and their democratic governance were not products of philosophical theorizing or political machination. They arose out of sheer necessity. The tough life on the steppe demanded resilience and adaptability, as well as equal participations from everyone in the society. In fact, it is quite common for the women to enjoy higher statuses in nomadic or semi-nomadic societies, such as the Mongols and the Scythians. The unique Cossack identity began to erode with the disbandment of the Zaporozhian Sich and the gradual absorption of Cossack territories into the Russian Empire. By the Soviet era, policies of centralization and cultural homogenization further diminished their distinctiveness. Today, while some legacies of the Cossacks endure, the Pontic Steppe has transformed. What was once a barren landscape has become the breadbasket of the world. However, one thing that hasn't changed is the frequency of warfare in this region, and due to the recent conflicts in Ukraine, this region is again in a state of turmoil. However, let us not forget that the story of the Cossacks is a testament to human resilience. From diverse backgrounds, they forged a unique identity on the unforgiving expanse of the Pontic Steppe. The Cossacks' enduring legacy lies in their fundamental values, an unwavering love of freedom and a deeply rooted egalitarian spirit. These principles offer timeless lessons for our modern world, reminding us of the power of raw collective identity that could provide resistance against oppression from the centralized power. Thanks for watching my video. See you next time.